Namaste viewers and welcome to this episode of Amazing Vedas, and we have with us in our studio Dr. Raghunath Jagirdar ji. Namaste sir, thank you so much for joining us, and as you usually do, maybe we shall start with a mantra and go ahead sir, you can choose whichever you like. Normally we start with Mother's Gayatri, isn't it?
Yes.
Please.
Om Anandamayi Chaitanyamayi Satyamayi Parame Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Aurovindaya Namaha.
So wonderful. And for viewers who want to know, now you've seen our lineage, what we have learned. People like me, who were supposed to be from a Rig Vedic family, we didn't know much except some little things we were taught as children. But only when I read The Secret of the Veda by Sri Aurobindo, it was like a transformation. It blew my mind, so to speak. You know, the extraordinary scholarship of Sri Aurobindo, where he is able to look at all these cycles of stories in the Veda and then take us to their deeper meaning. And he also tells us that this is the wisdom tradition of humanity. It doesn't belong to any one group. And in fact, it was universal. It was prevalent everywhere. But everywhere it was lost. And only the Bharatiyas, and don't forget that we are not only talking about, the great Samrat Bharat, but we are talking about the original Bharatas, who were the sacrificers, who were the priests of the Vedic fire offerings. They were the great, should I say, worshippers and adorers of the Agni. So we belong to that great tradition, and luckily in India, we have managed to preserve, as you said, sir, at least 25,000 mantras. And of course, the main corpus is the Rig Veda, because it is the Rig Veda that appears again and again in different forms in the other three Vedas. So that is why the emphasis is always on the Rig Veda. But now we must learn a little more about Professor R.L. Kashyap. And much has been written about him, but since you knew him personally and you served him till the very last days of his life, which was quite recent, when his hearing was fading, and yet you would go there and try to make out what he said. And it's a wonderful story of a Bangalore boy who went to Indian Institute of Sciences, got a very prestigious scholarship, goes to Harvard, and from Harvard he goes to Purdue. He's one of the founders of what today we call AI, because he did pattern recognition, and pattern recognition is the foundation today of LLMs, all these large language models, AI, etc. And then, again, there was a transformation. We heard part of the story when MP Pandit ji visited the US. And then R.L. Kashyap ji left everything. He came back to India. He settled in Bangalore. And then he translated the entire Vedic corpus. So this is the overall summary. But now we want to hear it from you.
Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity to share about Professor Kashyap. I'm always delighted to talk about him. In a way, he is my guru. So when I joined him to do the work of Veda, I was not much informed about the Veda. No doubt I had read the Secret of the Veda, but I was not able to comprehend in the context of my earlier studies. So Professor Kashyap tutored me or gave a lecture of half an hour every day for more than 1 year. So after that, he took the work of Krishna Yajur Veda. First, he did a part of translation of Rig Veda, and soon after that, keeping it pending, he took the work of Krishna Yajur Veda. So this Yajur Veda has two recensions. One recension is Krishna Yajur Veda, Taittiriya Samhita. The other one is
Shukla.
Shukla Yajur Veda, followed in most of the part of the northern India, and Krishna Yajur Veda is followed in the South
Southern
India.
part, correct.
So two reasons. First reason is that Sri Aurobindo or the Kapali Shastri or any of the disciples of Sri Aurobindo had not touched this Krishna Yajur Veda. And there was a wider understanding that the Yajur Veda has got, it is mainly focusing on the yajnas, that is Bahya yajnas, mantras to be chanted during the conduction of the yajnas, havanas, homas, and all the process of that, those yajnas are there in the Krishna Yajur Veda. That is number one. Number two, there was a widespread understanding or belief with even the traditional people that the animals were sacrificed during the yajna. So Professor Kashyap studied Yajur Veda once, twice, thrice, and number of times. So, in the light of the teachings of Sri Aurobindo or the Kapali Shastriya, he started assigning the spiritual meaning to Krishna Yajur Veda mantras also. And he came out that the mantras in the Krishna Yajur Veda, the words in these mantras carry the same meaning and purport, and the whole of the Vedas talk about the internal yajnas in a symbolic way.
Yeah, that is so profound. And the wonderful thing about the Vedas and even the Yajnas, the inner meaning of the Yajna, is that it changes over time. So, to me, some of these debates about what happened, whether animals were sacrificed or not, it's irrelevant because, we have moved on. And, today we don't need to do that. We may offer, patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam, whatever, but it is the inner significance of the yajna which is so very important. And instead of arguing about these things, and anyhow, so let's go back to the story. So he applied the same methodology, you might say, of the three-level interpretation. The
Yes.
adhibhautik, and then the adidaivika, and then finally the adhyatmika. And he proved that this was also possible for the so-called extremely technical yajna related, in other words, ritualistic portion of the Vedic corpus. He tried to prove that the same methodology can be applied even to the Krishna Yajur Veda. So this is an extraordinary, I would think, accomplishment. And even today, forget about overseas, but even in India, it has not been recognized. And in fact, one of the work of Sakshi or the Living Veda conference series, or even some of our work that we have taken up outside India, Amazing Vedas, it's actually in partnership with the Living Vedas, is to actually bring out these wonderful facets of Professor Kashyap's work, which are still practically unknown. So then he did as you said, let us continue with the narrative. He first worked on the Krishna Yajur Veda, and with deep study, he brought out his translations. And I would think the translations also have a little bit of commentary, am I right? An explanation, some
Wherever it is necessary, he has taken a mantra, so he has translated them into straight English. Each pada he has translated wherever it is necessary. For example, in the Ashwamedha Yaga, which is a part of the Krishna Yajur Veda, so lot of mantra says that vapa of that animal is offered, ribs of a particular animal is offered, and the brain of a particular animal is offered. All these things comes there. It comes there. But he went on writing detailed essays, giving reference of the words from the Vedic mantras. He proved that all these things are symbolic.
Yes.
When the mantra says that the vapa or the diaphragm has to be offered, that means one has to focus on the pranayama.
I see.
One has to focus on the pranayama. When he is asking to offer the brain, that means Agni is the purifier. Whatever is offered to the Agni, he takes out the impurities of in a particular things, as he takes out the impurities in the gold. When the pure gold has to be done, it has to be treated in the fire. In the same way, in the Agni, in the same way, this offering means it is not physical offering, it is symbolic offering. We should understand it in that way. So he went on, he wrote detailed translations, detailed essays before starting the translations. So he took some words, and what is the classical Sanskrit meaning for this, and what is the symbolic meaning in the context of the Vedas. So what is yajna, what is inner yajna, and who performs the yajna, and how he moves in the yajna. So taking the mantra yajnena yajnamayayanta devaha. So devas do the yajna through the yajna. Means this is like a mathematical, this proving this is equal to this is equal to this. Yajna, Professor Kashyap wrote that yajna is a journey. So here the whole thing, the whole Krishna Yajur Veda corpus said, preparing the body, prana and the mind for taking up the higher journey, reaching to the supramental manifestation. How a physic and the prana and the manas have to elevate themselves through this so-called inner yajna process. So he wrote it.
Yes, so I mean, viewers must recognize that even traditionally, nobody has denied that Vedic words have multiple layers of meaning. And that when you take a word like go, which means cow, it has at least 25 meanings. These have been listed. So to fix the meaning only at the physical level of the animal is doing injustice to the total potential of the yoga and of the, yajna and of the Veda. And this is the fundamental problem with the Western approach, which they do even today. They have reduced the Veda to merely a very, physical utterances of nature worshippers. And this problem persists today. In the latest translation, by Joel Brereton and Stephanie Jameson, they have not even acknowledged the work of R.L. Kashyap. They have not even acknowledged the work of Sri Aurobindo, which goes against, in my view, against the standards of Western academia itself. So they are untrue to their own tradition. Forget about their being untrue to us. Because you're supposed to reference everybody. And if you disagree with someone, you have to refute them. You can't simply ignore. You can't ignore. They have simply mentioned Dayanand Saraswati in one of their, passing references and footnotes. But they have not at all mentioned, Sri
Aurobindo, Kapali Shastri.
And this is a disservice. Suppose I'm translating a work, it is my duty to look at all the other translations.
Correct.
So not to acknowledge R.L. Kashyap's translations in their, authoritative, so-called authoritative Oxford University Press, book is for me a scholarly lapse. And I'm saying this, I hope they're listening somewhere, and in their next edition, let them please rectify it. And if they don't agree, let them tell us why they don't agree, but simply ignoring, because Vedas are not for East or West. We have no ownership on the Veda. Vedas are for humanity. So now let us come back to Professor Kashyap's story. So he starts with the Krishna Yajur Veda. Then what does he do next?
Yes. Next he took up the Atharva Veda. So Atharva Veda has 20 kandas. It is divided into 20 chapters. So while translating the Atharva Veda, he clearly showed that the mantras in the Rig Veda are overlapping in all the 4 Vedas.
Yes.
So all the 4 Vedas are, so as we know very well that the whole this Samhita was a single corpus. So Veda Vyasa having considered certain aspects to make it easy to learn the Vedas, he divided them into four samhitas. Samhita is collection. Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. He did it, and it was the understanding that a person of a particular Veda, because the lineages are named as I belong to such and such Veda.
Correct.
So it was the understanding, or it was filled into the people of the mind in India that a person with a particular Veda should hate the other Veda, or should disgrace the other Veda. Professor Kashyap's greatest contribution is to show that mantras are overlapping. The mantras of Rig Veda are repeated in the Yajur Veda, they are repeated in the Atharva Veda, and all the mantras of the Sama Vedas are picked from the with some variations, especially the 20th Kanda, the last Kanda of Rig Veda is completely Atharva Veda are completely from Rig Veda.
Completely.
But here the contribution of Professor Kashyap comes. So while the translations are same as the translations are for the Rig Veda. Here Professor Kashyap wrote some notes taking the application of these mantras in the context of the Atharva Veda. Interestingly, Atharva Veda deals with so many aspects. So whatever the compartment is done, that worldly life and the otherworldly life. So as you and I know, follower Sri Aurobindo know that there is no watertight compartment between worldly and otherworldly. Every life, the whole life is divine life. So Professor Kashyap took the mantras of the Atharva Veda and he translated that each and every action of human being is divine, or he should have the state of mind that how to make each and every act as divine work.
Yes, to consecrate it, to divinize it, to raise it, whether it is eating or sleeping, whatever it is, you have to raise it to that higher level, and that is the meaning of sacrifice. You know, I want to ask you, normally when we read, we say, oh, Atharva Veda is full of chants and incantations, and they even say black magic, white magic, whatever. And I think Professor Kashyap showed, he disabused us of all these beliefs that it's just some spell to do this or that. It is something much more profound. Am I right, sir?
100%. Because not many people say that it has got some black magic, this and that. As I have read the complete Atharva Veda, maybe some 6 or 7 times. So there are only 3 mantras mentioning the black magic. That too as a part of suggesting a remedy to the human health. This black magic, no doubt, they affect on the human being. So the Atharva Veda has several mantras addressing the health issues of the human being or the longevity of the human being. So if they have to come out of, if they have to protect themselves from the black magic, these are the mantras they can chant. These are the gods they have to invoke to protect themselves from the black magic. This is the only reference. Otherwise, the Atharva Veda deals about all the aspects of the human life. Take marriage, take governance, take education, take atmosphere, take about our land, take about our discussions in the human society. Everything concerned to the human being is dealt in Atharva Veda. And Professor Kashyap, after studying all these mantras, maybe about 6,000 mantras in the Atharva Veda, he came out to the conclusion that all these aspects are touched in this Veda to emphasize it or to bring it to the notice of the people aspiring to have the divinity should know that no aspect of the life is supposed
excluded.
To be denied.
No aspect is excluded, exactly.
Yes.
Includes everything. Now, we always say Ishavasya Midam Sarvam, etc., but we don't live it. We almost
Leave
English.
it. So this is the major contribution of Professor Kashyap to
That is
integrating the things.
that is so wonderful that he managed to connect everything and to show it very systematically, very scientifically. Because when we were growing up, also, if we asked a question, if you do kintu parantu, they'll always tell us, "Oh, you don't understand, you keep quiet." Or you are
Yes.
going to an English medium school. That's why you're asking these questions. We are telling you to do this, so you must do it. But here the approach is completely different. Everything is explained rationally. And just as we are talking, if I have a doubt, I can ask you, you can clarify. It goes like that. It is not, in fact, it is a sign of a tradition which has shrunk if you're constantly using authority or some, scriptural or some other temporal authority, like some Mathadish is saying, I say it and so it's true. This is not at all the approach of Sri Aurobindo or Kapali Shastriyar
Yeah.
or of Kashyapji or of any of us. So, with the deepest reverence for tradition, we also think we are the most modern because we are not confined. Our minds are not enslaved or they are not, as it were, trapped or bound, by these, and many of these current practices, we consider them to be distortions. They're Vikriti because even the so-called Varnashram Dharma, as it has come to be practiced later on, we don't find it in the Veda, etc.
Yes.
So now let's look at the next thing he did after, the Krishna Yajur, Veda, and then the Atharva Veda. What was the next project?
So next project was this conducting the online courses. So through Sakshi, we took a 6 months course called as Applied Certificate Course in Applied Veda Knowledge. So this is a 6 months course. We created a syllabus so that all the participating students, we should make them familiar, understanding application of the Veda. For example, for initial stage, so how to enhance the human potentiality through invoking the gods. So this clarity in thinking has to be evolved. The willpower has to be evolved, and the integrity has to be evolved, and the harmony has to be evolved. From this point of view, we took some Vedic gods like Indra, Agni, Surya, Saraswati, all these gods. We took some mantras. Along with that, we took the examples of the people who are living Veda,
Oh, I see.
who are living Veda, and how he was there, he was before taking up the application of Vedic knowledge, and how his life was transformed by taking up the Vedic studies. So we gave some anecdotes with these living examples. So Professor Kashyap used to take one class and I used to take another class. That was a 3 hours session every Sunday. And 1.5 hours, Professor Kashyap used to give the principles of the Veda. And I used to take about 1.5 hour on the application of the Veda knowledge, of course, as taught by Professor Kashyap. So this certificate course evolved interest across the world. So far, about more than 600 students have participated in this course, and it has taken the enormous breadth. For example, one student in Belgium, she took it so she participated in the course and she started her own institute called as some Vedas or International Vedas, something like. Now she has got more than 2,000 students who are learning Vedas under her.
That's amazing. But is the course still continuing, sir? Is the course still going on?
Yes, course is going on. She conducts a 6 months course or so. So she has the students from more than 20 countries.
No, what about your course? Is this course still going on, Sakshi course?
Yes, our course is going on. It is a 6 months course, and now the 8th batch is going on. So this will be concluded by December. Again, January or February, we start the next batch because it is our institute is affiliated to Karnataka Samskrita University, one of the government universities, and we conduct all these activities in collaboration with or in the guidance of the university, applying
Exactly.
the parameters.
So this is a live course. That is, people come to Sakshi, but
Yes,
do you also offer it online? Can it also be?
online. It is 100% online.
Okay.
First batch and second batch we conducted in the institute premises. We came to know that a lot of people in India and abroad are interested to participate. So to cater the needs of those interested one, we made it an online course. This is online course for 6 months. End of the course, we conduct an exam also,
Oh,
online
that's
exam.
that's wonderful. So we will try and post the links when
Yes,
I get them from you when the video goes live,
sure,
so people can
sure.
check it out. So now let's look at how Professor Kashyap took up the big work, the Rig Veda
Yes,
work.
yes, yes. So he was working for 14 to 15 hours a day.
Oh my.
So for about 14 years he worked. So once he came in 2002 to India, now and then once in every alternate year, because he was a citizen of US, so he was supposed to be there for 3 weeks in US, and also he was getting pension from the Purdue University. He was supposed to be there. Oh, those exact 21 days, not one day more, one day less, because his passport should have been stamped with those dates in and out. So 21 days he used to go to US. That also we were planning. I was contacting some of his students who are interested in Veda and the Indian knowledge system. I was talking to them. We were arranging lectures in US also. Those 21 days were also, we were not keeping him away from the Vedas. So most of the time he was talking. When he came to know, Dr. Narayan Swami, when he came contact with Narayan Swami, and 2 or 3 times when he went there, he was staying with Narayan Swami, and a lot many interested Vedic scholars, those who are interested in Veda used to come to Narayan Swami's house, and it was a very good discussion sessions going on in Narayan Swami's house. So 14 years and 14 to 15 hours a day. Once he told me, I was asking him, how do you do all these things? I asked him the question. He paused and replied in Kannada. So the translation is, most of the time I am not translating using my brain. While reading the mantra, while going through the words of the mantra, I read the books. Now I have the text. Luckily, I have the text. I read the Satwanekar edition and I just keep it aside. The next day, when I take the pen to translate those mantras, at that time Professor Kashyap was not present. So most of the translation I was getting from some other source. So far I am not able to know what is that source. Only people of the stature of Sri Aurobindo, Kapali Shastri could know who is guiding them. But I have no absolute idea who is guiding me. But I know for sure that some divine energy is guiding me and it is demanding from me to complete this work. So even if sometime I get lazy or something bored or something else, it gives me a special inspiration to take up the work and continue. This was his experience he shared with me. And especially there were some words or some translations were disturbing him a lot, especially when it comes to Krishna Yajur Veda. People translated in the way they wanted it or very carelessly were translated. They were discussing. Sometimes he used to shed water from his eyes, knowing that such a disgrace has been done to our Vedic knowledge. So in that way, it was a mission for him. It was not a work. Translating the Veda was not a work for Professor Kashyap. It was a mission. And that too, not a mission chosen by him alone, but a mission which was initiated by MP Pandit or the presence of Sri Aurobindo and the mother. Because every time when he completed one translation of one mandala, book used to come from printing press. He used to take that volume and go to all the way to Pondicherry, place it on the samadhi, and surrender it. That this is not mine. What all I have done in this work is the grace received from you. He used to offer it, and literally he uses to disassociate from it. Means I have translated second mandala. He never uses to claim. We people used to write his name.
Yeah.
He always insisting, oh, Jagirdar, you have done so much for this. Don't put my name. You put your name. There should be some name. Somebody should take the responsibility. So put your name.
This is a living example of idam na mama.
Idam na mama.
It is actually the living example of it.
Exactly.
And so gradually he completed those 10,000 mantras of the Rig Veda. When did he finish that, sir?
He finished, see, he was doing simultaneously Rig Veda and Yajur Veda. I told you.
Yes.
He did the first mandala complete, Rig Veda, and he took directly fifth mandala. He did not do second, third, fourth. He did translation of fifth mandala, because fifth mandala is Atri Rishi. And there is the great, if you take the whole of Rig Veda, 10,500 mantras or the 10 mandalas, the fifth mandala is most symbolic. And most of the mantras translated by Sri Aurobindo are also from fifth mandala. So they are most symbolic, and poetically, they are wonderful poetry is there. You can see the poetic work in this Atri Rishi's mantras. He translated that fifth mandala, and he gave it to some of the scholars in Karnataka and in India. He sent that book, and he was so elated or delighted that all of them appreciated it. He had the fear how this book will be received. He sent to both the scholars who have studied Veda, and the people who are interested in the growth of India, and the people who do not know anything about Veda. So we selected three categories of people. About 30 to 40 copies were distributed, and except 2 or 3 did not respond to that. But majority of them responded that, oh, you have done a great work. Please continue it. That was a great boost given to Professor Kashyap, and the profound scholar, Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao. So his name is heard all over the world. So he wrote a 60 pages foreword to his Krishna Yajur Veda first part.
I see.
So he brought out all that is the pioneering contribution of Dr. Kashyap, and how Professor Kashyap had given references of some texts, but there were other major references which would have been brought here. Professor Kashyap had not brought it because of his limited studies of the Shastras, because he was not coming from the traditional background. So Professor S.K. Ramachandra Rao brought out all those references, and he showed that whatever Professor Kashyap has done, the translation is been done, or the stand that he has taken as far as the Prani Bali or the sacrifice of the animal and other rituals and other things are concerned, are definitely supported by Indian scriptures, because they were not studied in this light because of the negligence or not understanding by the earlier scholars. This was how it so the Rig Veda fifth mandala he took, and simultaneously he was doing because this and also interesting, the Krishna Yajur Veda is his family shaka.
Oh.
He want Rishi
Ruda. With that. So he started with
that. So Rishi Ruda. So Rishi Ruda, because he was always telling, we don't know how long we will live. Before that, I want to serve to my my native, my own shaka. So he started that. But simultaneously he did it. He did this translation between 2000 and 2014. So it took about 14
14.
years, 14 years to complete the translation of. Along with this translation, all these smaller and medium type of works were always going on.
Right. And
So
what about the last one we've not talked about, the Samaveda?
yes. Samaveda, yes. So Samaveda, he identified which are all these mantras cross-referenced to Rig Veda.
Yes.
So earlier to Professor Kashyap, there was no, so about 1700 mantra, 1700 mantras are there in the Samaveda.
Samaveda.
They
Samaveda.
were numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, about 650 mantras in the Purva Archika and the remaining 1100 mantras in the Uttara Archika. So Samaveda is into two groups, Purva Archika and Uttara Archika. So Professor Kashyap, the first thing he prepared a table showing the number, yes, corresponding numbers. That is the first thing he did. And the second thing he did as far as this, Samaveda is concerned, so he wrote elaborate essays on the Samaveda, various aspects of the Samaveda. So taking the reference of the Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, I am in the Vedas, I am Samaveda.
Yeah, that was always very intriguing to me. Why does he say that? Why doesn't he say that among the Vedas I'm the Rig?
Yes. Two things Professor Kashyap or Sri Aurobindo or Kapali Shastri have written. One is that the mantras are of three types. One is Ruk, other is Yajus, the third one is Saman. So this Samaveda has the Saman mantras. Saman mantras means the same mantras with chandas, but they are chanted in the musical way.
That's right. So they're beautiful. They're very beautiful. And it's the same
so anybody can listen and
Veda.
enjoy.
So when you say Saman, it includes the Rig Vedic mantras. That is the secret.
Yes. So chanting them, it is like the pleasure of the music. Not able to hear.
No, I can hear you. Carry on. It's fine. Yeah.
Yes. For a while, your sound was paused.
No problem. Go ahead.
Yeah. So chanting is in the so he marked all the notations properly. In earlier books, which were the printing of this Samaveda is very bad. If you see the books, existing books, so Professor Kashyap took all the mantras and he edited them. He cross-verified with three books which were marked, because the intonation marks of Samaveda is completely different from Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Atharva Veda. So these are musical notes. You have seen the musical notes. So the Samaveda mantras have the musical notes, and they need to be properly assigned. If they were not properly assigned, if somebody wants to sing one raga, that becomes another raga in music. The same way. So chanting would be difficult. So first thing is preserving, making the Samaveda text intact, and writing essays. So Professor Kashyap uses to tell always that this Samaveda is like a summary of the Rig Veda, because all the rishis, there are about 400 rishis, and each rishi has, to his credit, there are some mantras. All the rishis and all the devas are covered in the Samaveda, but as a summary. So, for example, Madhuchandas, he has got 100 mantras. Some 10 mantras are Gutsamada written. And Agni has got around 2000 mantras in the Rig Veda, and about 100 or 120 mantras representing Agni are taken. So, in that way, Professor Kashyap identified and was telling that the Samaveda is the summary of the Rig Veda. If somebody wants to tell sum up the Rig Veda, he can understand the Samaveda and can say that representative mantras of the Rig Veda I have studied. This was his understanding connected to Samaveda. So in that way, he translated Samaveda. Also, he did not take as it is the translation of the Rig Veda, but how this while singing, there are different types of emotions are coming. So in that background, also Professor Kashyap has seen, and he wrote a small book that is Essentials of Samaveda. He wrote the connection between the Indian music Shastra and the Samaveda, and how Vedic gods are, how can we extend our seva or the puja through music. He has written a small article. That is how he dealt with the Samaveda.
Oh, that is so wonderful. And as you were speaking, I was thinking about that great, Kriti of Tyagaraja, Sa Majavara.
Yes,
You know
yes,
that in the seven notes, the entire spiritual quest of humanity can be captured in those seven notes, and it can take us to Nada Brahman. So it was really delightful to talk to you. Thank you for your time. I have learned so much today. I'm very grateful. I remember, Professor Kashyap today. Once again, thank you to all these beautiful memories and anecdotes, which we cannot get from books, sir. We can read, but when you speak, the smriti gets activated, as it were. It becomes jvalanta with that agni. So we are very grateful, and we hope to carry on these conversations with you. Thank you, sir. We look to your blessings to continue the work of the Veda, and remembering Professor R.L. Kashyap, remembering Dr. Not even doctor, but TV Kapil, our guru, our root guru, Sri Aurobindo. I thank you again and bring this episode to an end and hope to see you again. Thank you.